welcome back to Dimitra's Dishes. So today I'm going to be bringing to you a delicious recipe. It's called phyllo beef turnovers. They're delicious, they're simple, they're easy, and they utilize my meat sauce recipe that I've used so many times on this channel. I'm going to put it in the card section up above, so you're going to want to click here or here, one of these sides. And then I'm also going to click post the link in the description box down below. It's a really simple recipe to make, comes together in like 30 minutes or so. Very easy. You need some meat sauce, some melted butter, and I have some mozzarella here. I like to buy the blocks of mozzarella and I just chop them up into like these little chunks right here. You could shred them too, but I like getting like little chunks of mozzarella in my turnover, so I did do that. If you can't find a chunk of mozzarella, you can definitely use shredded, and that's fine. And you can use your favorite cheese if you want. If you don't want to use cheese and you want to use feta, go ahead, be my guest, do that. And the only other thing that you're going to need is some phyllo. Now, I've talked about phyllo a lot. It's sold in your freezer section in the supermarket. Most supermarkets carry it around where I live. If you can't find it, you could find it online, and I'll post a link for that too. But if you have a specialty food store like a Mediterranean food store or a Middle Eastern food store, they're going to be sold over there. What you want to make sure that you do is take it out and defrost it in your refrigerator overnight, and then leave it on your counter a couple hours before you use it. You want it to be room temperature, and then it won't fall apart or stick or mess up on you. So that's all you need. You're going to want to have your oven preheated to 350 degrees. You want a sheet lined with parchment paper because this goes really, really quickly. So what we're going to do, okay, so today, another thing I wanted to mention, usually I make it with 1 pack of phyllo. It usually has enough. I use 4 sheets at a time, so you're going to need about 48 sheets to make this, I believe. And so I'm using 1.5 packs of phyllo. So just in case, defrost 2 packs of phyllo, so that way you can have enough. If you don't have 2 packs of phyllo and you want to make this today, you just have 1. Instead of making 2 layers, just 4 layers, just use 2 layers. It'll be fine. Cut it in half. You can definitely take out your ruler if you want to be super precise. But if you've been with me long enough, you'll know that I'm not really patient or really precise. And look at that. It's perfect anyway. So now, what we're going to do, we're going to leave 1 pack completely in the plastic wrap because phyllo does not have fat in it, so it dries up really quickly while you're using it. We're going to work with 4 sheets at a time. This is a delicious recipe to eat either as a light lunch with a nice side salad, or as an appetizer if you want to serve it like as a first course. That's fine too. I'm making these pretty big so you can have it as a lunch portion. You can make them smaller by, instead of cutting the phyllo into 2 sheets, cut it into thirds, into three pieces, right? So, and I've done that with my tiropitas, which are my little cheese pies, and I'll put that link in the card section as well so you could see exactly how I cut the phyllo in case you have trouble with that. So now we're going to butter each layer. Now, you don't have to brush the butter or anything like that. You just want to make sure the unsalted butter, which is what we're using because we want to control the salt in the recipe, we just kind of drizzle it on top. No big deal. Don't have to brush every single layer. Just drizzle. And we're doing 4 layers. So if you don't have enough phyllo, if say you have 1 pack of phyllo and you don't have enough layers, you could do 2 layers. That's fine too. It'll just be even lighter. Just like that. And then the last layer, you don't have to butter. Now we're going to take a nice heaping tablespoon of this yummy saucy meat sauce. A little bit more, just like that, in the center on the bottom, and then as many little chunks of mozzarella as you want. This is totally up to you. If you wanted to, you could also make these, you can leave out the mozzarella or leave it in and add some frozen peas to this. If you have any leftover vegetables that you might have roasted, you can chop them up small and add that on here. That would be a really nice variation. And then we're just going to fold it up kind of like we do a flag. I'm going to put it in our baking sheet. We make these at the restaurant using puff pastry, so you can do that too. But personally, I love it much more with this phyllo. It's much lighter and flakier. So we're going to keep going like that. spoonful of the meat sauce. I love this meat sauce. I use it in my moussaka recipe. I use it in pasticcio. I use it to make like a spaghetti and meat sauce. I add vegetables to it. I add potato, which is also a vegetable, but I do like potato and green peas. It's just so versatile. It's one of those recipes that you have to have in your recipe repertoire, and you can make it, turn it into like so many other dishes. So now, I didn't really show you exactly how I do this, but pretend this is not already folded over. You fold it over like that, and then you kind of hold the filling part in so it doesn't come out. And you bring the tip up, and then you just keep going. Get the kids involved in making these. It's really easy. It's fun too. One really good thing about this recipe is that it freezes beautifully. So you can just do what I'm doing right now, and instead of baking it that same day, you can just pop these in your freezer and then take them out and bake them whenever you want to use them, or whenever you want to serve them. So one thing that I just need to mention about the sauce, when I teach you how to make the sauce in the other video, it's kind of really loose, and it has, it's not as thick. So you're gonna wanna cook it down a lot until all of the water evaporates, and it's just a really nice, thick, tomatoey sauce where you just see a kind of a little bit of oil, and then like the tomato sauce, you don't want it to be runny or anything like that, because then you won't be able to fill these turnovers with that. It'll be kind of too runny and it'll come out and make a mess. So make sure you cook it down until it's really, really nice and thick. I'm going to continue making these. This recipe makes 12 big turnovers, and I'll show you what they look like as soon as I'm done filling these. Okay, so now I made my 12 turnovers. Let me show you what they look like. Here they are. So simple and so easy. What we do is we're going to use the remaining butter to just brush all of the tops, so that way when they bake they'll be really beautiful and golden. Now, what you can do if you're having a lot of guests over and you want to serve these right as soon as you make them, you make sure your oven is preheated to 350 degrees, and as soon as you're done with the butter, and then we're also going to sprinkle a tiny bit of salt on top, you can bake these off. It'll take, I don't like using times because everyone's oven is different, but anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes. What you're going to be looking for is for them to be beautifully golden on top, and then you'll know they're ready. If you just wanted to bake off one or two, still do the same thing like what I told you. But what you can do if you're prepping like an extra batch, if you're going through all of this work and you wanted to make 2 batches, because these are great to have on hand in the freezer. At this point, you want to, right after you put the butter on it and everything like that, and you sprinkle the salt on, you want to put them in your freezer for like 5 minutes for them to the butter to set and harden. Then just take it out and wrap it really nice and tight with plastic wrap. And then when you're ready to bake them, you just put them on a baking sheet, frozen as is. You don't have to brush any butter on them. But then instead of putting it in the oven just the way as is, you're going to want to cover it with aluminum foil, and you're going to have it bake in a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 35 minutes, and then you're going to want to uncover it and bake another 15-20 minutes until they're nice and golden. So that's really easy. I'll put all the information in the blog post, which there's always going to be in the description box that takes you to the website dimitrasdishes.com. But I'm gonna bake mine because I'm making it for my kids today, and you know I like to make a big batch. So I'm gonna bake these and I'm gonna show you what they look like. I'm gonna pop these in the oven for about 30-35 minutes, and I will show you what they look like as soon as they come out. So the turnovers took about 35 minutes to bake in my preheated 350 degree oven. Now, I baked these fresh. I made them and then I just baked them fresh. So when you're baking them fresh right after you make them, or if you're gonna store them in the refrigerator and then make them, you don't want to cover them with aluminum foil. They just go straight in the oven as is. If you're baking them frozen, say you've prepared a bunch and then you want to bake them, then because the filling and everything is frozen, it's going to take a little bit longer. So at that point, if you're going to bake frozen ones, you want to cover the tray with aluminum foil and then put it in the oven. So that way everything cooks evenly. By the time the meat filling in the center thaws out and warms up, the top will not have started becoming golden, because if you were to do it uncovered, then they would the top would kind of burn. But look at how beautiful they are, nice and golden and crisp. And I'm just going to take this one out. Very nice as they're crisp all over. You want to bake them in the center rack of your oven so that way they bake evenly. And now let's cut into one. And of course, my favorite sauce to eat these with is my tzatziki sauce, and I'll put that recipe in the card section above as well as in the description down below. But here the crispiness. Let's see if we can show the inside with the cheese. Ooh, look at that. Look at the meat sauce. How beautiful it is. Let me see if I can find a cheesy part on this side. Here we are. Here we have a piece of cheese right here in the corner. Yummy. I cannot wait to eat this. Technically, these should cool down a little bit more, but it should be okay for me. Hopefully. Hopefully I don't burn myself. A little bit of tzatziki to cool it down. So good. Really, really good. Really delicious. Flaky, cheesy, meaty, everything you want in a turnover. The link to the recipe is always in the description box down below. It takes you directly to the website www.dimitrasdishes.com, where you're going to find this recipe and many more with the exact measurements and all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comment section what you want to learn how to make next. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.